It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back in. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Molly Robinson, Conrad Van Order with you until 2 o'clock. Doors are now officially open. We are live at Social Taco in Homewood. You can stop by and see us. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Well, we had Alabama wrap up their spring game on Saturday. We've kind of been bouncing around the Southeastern Conference. Auburn will have their 8A game coming up this Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium. So let's go to East Tennessee. Adam Sparks covers the Tennessee Volunteers for the Knoxville News-Sentinel. He joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. Adam, I hope you're well on this beautiful Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Good to be on.
Adam, let's with most places, just like at Alabama, there is a quarterback conversation. I'm not going to say it's a battle, but it's a conversation. How would you put the quarterback situation currently at the University of Tennessee after the spring game?
Well, the funny thing is there was a lot of reaction out of what Keelan Russell did in Alabama's spring game the other day because it looks like a young guy can put up a lot of big numbers in a spring game because it certainly didn't happen here. There's three quarterbacks, but it's really a two-man race here. Neither one of them have really played. It's redshirt freshman George McIntyre, who was a pretty high-level recruit a year ago, and then five-star freshman Faison Brandon, who just got to campus in January. Neither had a great spring. I'd say they were okay, fair. So there's some pretty big question marks around that. Obviously, there's not a spring portal, so Tennessee can't go get another option. Both show a lot of potential, a lot of promise. It's just the question is, are they going to be ready by September? If they played tomorrow, I would say it'd be McIntyre. He's been in the system for a year. He knows how to operate the offense, but he threw like 10 passes last year. Faison Brandon, could close the gap by the time he gets to fall camp. He's a phenomenal athlete. Throw it, run it. He is a five-star talent. The question is, can he run Josh Heupel's offense? Even when Tennessee had Nico Iamaleava 2 years ago, he was a five-star, number one quarterback in the country. He set for his entire freshman season until the bowl game. And so Josh Heupel doesn't want to go with a true freshman. But right now he has a true freshman and a redshirt freshman, so there's not a veteran option for him to go to. So he's going to have a young quarterback either way. And he honestly does not know. He does not know which guy it's going to be. Neither has taken a big lead so far. It depends on which day you were out there at spring practice to say who had a small lead. So this will go all the way into fall camp. And it honestly may go into the season.
I want to go back to the transfer portal because obviously with Nico and his dad and everything that transpired, Josh Heupel and that Tennessee staff, they were put in a really bad position. But the portal opening at the end of this past season, we thought Tennessee, they were going to be primed to go and get a quarterback. One of those quarterback visits, Sam Leavitt, he ends up at LSU. Can you kind of take us behind the scenes and how all that transpired in a very short amount of time?
Yeah, that was a pretty early indication that they weren't 100% sold on either of these two young quarterbacks being ready because they did go and try to get a guy in the portal. They were in on Sorsby early, who obviously went to Texas Tech. They never got him on campus. They were in on Sam Leavitt. They got him here, and then in typical Lane Kiffin fashion, he flew into the Knoxville airport and made sure he closed the deal on Sam Leavitt. I was never really convinced Sam Leavitt was going to come to Tennessee. I thought there was a possibility, but it always seemed like sort of his second option. So it didn't surprise me that it ended up at LSU, whether with Kiffin or not. The only other quarterback that Tennessee hosted aside from Leavitt was Bo Pribula from Missouri. He was here. They were kind of lukewarm on him. They let him go to Virginia. They weren't terribly interested. It was sort of one of those things where Josh Heupel, I think, looked at it and said, if you can get one of the top quarterbacks in the portal, they would take them. They would be happy to take them and to pay for them. And obviously Leavitt fit that. Sorsby fit that. But if they couldn't get one of those guys, they just were not going to go to a second-tier guy. They thought any second-tier portal guy wouldn't be really an upgrade over the two young quarterbacks that they have. And so, now if the spring portal were open, if it were open this spring, Would they go and get another guy? That's an interesting alternate universe because I think at this point they're not terribly sold on either guy right now. But I think I can sense sort of some ease with Josh Heupel because he doesn't have the option to go get another guy. He knows who his guys are, and he just has to coach them up before the season. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Joey Aguilar was in court after the portal suing the NCAA to try to get his eligibility. So that was sort of another wrinkle where they could have had Sorsby or Levitt or Aguilar for another year or Prabula, and they end up with none of those guys. And instead they end up with two talented guys who've never played.
Adam Sparks joining us. He covers the Tennessee Vols for the Knoxville News Sentinel. Joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball. The backfield for Tennessee. What does that look like in regards to what happened during the spring practices? How's the depth in that running back room?
Well, it'll be a 2 or 3 man rotation at running back, but the workhorse will be Deshaun Bishop. 1,000-yard rusher, all SEC last year. I mean, he's a pretty cool story because he's a local kid from Knoxville, but only got mid-major offers out of high school, which was kind of crazy because he broke a ton of state records. Was just a phenomenal high school player, but was looked at as a 3-star guy, mid-major type recruit. Instead, he came to Tennessee as a walk-on. Thought he would make it. Ends up he was right. 1,000-yard rusher last year. He'll be the workhorse this year. He looks great in spring, but they've got to have 2 or 3 guys. And Javin Gordon that they brought in from Tulane, they feel like could be that number 2 guy. They've got a couple of young guys. That's going to be really pivotal because Josh Heupel's offenses that have always run the ball well. It's just usually they've had a veteran quarterback to go with that, and they don't have that this time. So the run game with an experienced running back and a proven, experienced offensive line, that's going to put a lot on the run game. The fact that the quarterback is such a question mark.
On the defensive side of the ball, you got new leadership there at the coordinator position. Jim Knowles, who everybody knows as a defensive coordinator, household name. He's been at several successful programs. His resume is speaking for itself. How big of a difference can folks already tell with him leading that defense?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a reputation as, if not the top, I'd say maybe the top 3 defensive coordinators in college football. Won a national title at Ohio State, was phenomenal at Oklahoma State, good at Duke. Was at Penn State this last year. I mean, it was sort of a surprise a little bit that Josh Heupel made some staff changes because he had never fired a coach in his career. And he fired the D coordinator, a couple of assistants, so he rebuilt the defensive staff. And Jim Knowles' defense it was supposed to be a complex scheme that takes a long time to install, but the difference in here and his pass up is that he brought 3 assistants with him that he's coached with before. He brought 3 players from Penn State with him who ran the defense last year. And so that was supposed to help them get ahead of things, get ahead of schedule. And so far, so good. The defense was better than the offense of what we saw in spring practice. They feel like it can be good in year 1. And, again, that's sort of where the burden is going to go until the quarterback position is figured out. Because if you look at Tennessee's schedule, they're going to face Sam Levitt at LSU, Lenore Stellar, South Carolina, Arch Manning, Texas, Marcel Reed, A&M. We'll see if Keelan Russell is ready. So there's some good quarterbacks on the opposite end, on the opponent's offense, and Josh Heupel's going to have to rely on Jim Knowles' defense to take those quarterbacks down a tick, hoping that that can create some space for his young quarterbacks to grow.
Adam, I know this is an off-the-wall question, but this is what we do almost every single day down in this neck of the woods with Alabama and Auburn. There's always pressure. Tennessee's one of those programs. You got to the playoffs a couple years ago. The season last year did not go what most people on Rocky Top expected. Is there any pressure whatsoever on Josh Heupel this year to get Tennessee over the hump, at least against their big rivals, and maybe get back to the college football playoff? What kind of pressure are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's moderate pressure. One thing that people feel pretty certain about with Josh Heupel now is that he has a high floor, so to speak. He won 7 games in his first year with just a ragtag sort of roster. He's won 8. He won 8 games last year. That seems to be his floor. Now, what's his ceiling? That's a bigger question. The thought is he's already hit his ceiling. That he's a barely getting into the playoff 10-win type team. I don't see him getting beyond that. I would say if he could get to 8 wins this year, people are going to be somewhat understanding about that. Anything below that, the pressure will ratchet up quite a bit, especially if the problem is at quarterback, because that's his specialty, and he did have a chance to go get one in the off season. So it's more of a people at Tennessee are rooting for him. I'd say that's different from like a Butch Jones before, who wanted a reasonable clip but got on the hot seat, and people were okay seeing him go. Sort of the same thing with Jeremy Pruitt, although I know that was a different situation. But the fan base is generally rooting for Josh Heupel to succeed, and so moderate pressure, but they do need to win. I do think this is going to be an exercise for fans this year to have a lot of respect for 8-4. With a 8-game conference schedule, I think some fan bases in the SEC have looked at 8-4 and thought, that's an okay year. 8-4 with a 9-game conference schedule is going to be hard to get to. You got to have a winning record in your in the SEC in your conference to get there. You got to win non-conference games. So we'll see if they can get there. I think 8-4 would be okay with a lot of Tennessee fans, but not with others, because they do have a good roster this year. It's just the quarterback question, but that obviously goes right on Josh Heupel if it doesn't work out.
One of the opponents on that schedule, the Auburn Tigers, they got a first-year head coach that you and the Tennessee Vol fans are very familiar with. What can you tell us about Alex Golesh and your experience with him coordinating the offense there on Rocky Top?
He's a fiery guy, which I'm sure people have picked up on. A lot of Tennessee fans, when they've been disgruntled about Josh Heupel, they saw as the sort of the missing piece since is Alex Golesh. Josh Heupel has when his teams have been good, his coaching staff has had a good balance of good cop, bad cop, and Alex Golesh was bad cop. Alex Golesh was the guy who would speak pretty straightforward to Josh Heupel, to players, had no problem speaking his mind, aggressive play caller, aggressive coach, and that was a great balance for like the Tennessee 2022 team, the Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt team. And so, he's going to be successful at Auburn, I think. He's that type of guy. He's a talented coach. It's an interesting thing because Tennessee does have some coaches like that on their schedule, that it's not just a good SEC team, it's the backstory of the coach. So, like, could Josh Heupel lose to Auburn? He could, but could he lose to Alex Golesh? Oh, that would be a problem within the fan base. Could he lose to LSU? Yeah, that's understandable, but could he lose to Lane Kiffin? That would be a problem. And so adding these, former Tennessee coaches on the schedule adds a sort of another wrinkle. And Alex Golesh is at the top of that list because the thinking is Alex Golesh is Josh Heupel, 2.0, but he's a few years behind him in building the Auburn program like Heupel built the Tennessee program. So that'll be a test in how Golesh does against Tennessee head-to-head.
Adam, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about Rick Barnes and the incredible season that the Vols had on the hardwood this year. Transfer portal, we're all watching that. What does it look like so far? Because like many schools, I know Tennessee's had a few guys go into the transfer portal. What's that looking like right now for Rick Barnes and the Tennessee Vols?
Yeah, he's lost most of his roster, which, within the Tennessee fan base, there was a little bit of a panic. And then you look around and realize, half of the rosters in college football or in college basketball are in the portal. So that's taken some getting used to. There are some big fish that Tennessee is trying to get. If they land them and they are willing to spend money, they have a war chest of NIL money to spend on basketball. I will say that's been a shift over the past year and a half, because Rick Barnes, for all the criticism of him not getting to the Final Four at Tennessee, the fact that he's gotten to 3 straight Elite Eights, boosters are willing to give him his NIL bank some money to try to to try to get that next step, that last step. But the problem is, you got to pay and you got to land the right players, and it is so competitive in the NIL market. They're trying to put it together. We'll see. This could go either way over the next 2 weeks, but they're being pretty aggressive in the portal, and they're hoping that a few notable players that are not in the portal get in there pretty soon.
That is Adam Sparks. Outstanding job covering the Tennessee Volunteers for the Knoxville News Sentinel. Adam, always appreciate your time, in-depth conversation, and hopefully we'll catch up with you as we get even closer to SEC Football Media Days.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to be on.
Appreciate it very much. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Our friends at Noto Roofing, they got the Roberts family smiling from ear to ear. And I mentioned it yesterday, but this past weekend we had some warmer temperatures, but noticing that the AC, there's definitely a difference in the AC in our house. And I was talking with my buddy Chris with Noto Roofing yesterday. He says it's those ridge vents. We put ridge vents that were not already existing on your prior roof. We were able to add that. They also added some decking, had some other upgrades. But the bottom line is I am so satisfied, so happy with the job that Noto Roofing did. They showed up when they said they were going to. It was a one-day job, the takedown of the old roof, adding new decking, adding the ridge vents that I talked about, but then also putting an entire new roof on our house to clean up. There was no issues there. Very respectful of the property and the surrounding neighbors. These are folks you need to call. They're locally owned and operated. I grew up with the owners, Sammy and Matt, also Chris, who's been in it 3 decades. No stone unturned with these guys. And warranties there are available, but these are folks that you can trust. They're here in the state of Alabama. So if anything comes up, you've always got recourse with our friends at Noto Roofing. NOTOroofing.com. That's NOTOroofing.com or 205-848-2299. When you give them a call, tell Sammy that Landrum from Three Man Front sent you.
It was interesting that Adam Sparks, who covers the Tennessee Vols, had some interesting things to say about that defense. We'll kind of recap some of the things he told us about the Tennessee Vols for 2026. That's next on Three Man Front. Welcome back in. We are live at Social Taco, 1121 here on Jocks. Pat, Molly, Conrad, and Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. Very great crowd. I mean, we had 3 remotes last week, and you guys did not disappoint. You joined us here at Social Taco. Twice we were at Twin Peaks, back here at Social Taco today. And it's going to be tough getting a seat. So if you're thinking about joining us for lunch, I recommend you getting in here as soon as possible.
Yeah, we got the mix and match combination tacos, $4 all day. They're delicious. Everything's made from scratch here, but you can go with the quesadillas, the burritos, the Mexican pizzas. That's always a fan favorite, but they also have bowls, salads. If you want to go with something lighter, like some of our friends, or you just want to go chips, salsa, maybe some guacamole with some of that in-house smoked jalapeno bacon to kind of jazz it up, you can do that as well. And we have chicken feathers that have arrived here on the table.
Yes, they're here.
Deep fried deliciousness.
Love the seasoning. It's tremendous.
Man, I did the seasoning on something else, and I was going to text you the other night and say, hey, try the seasoning on this, and I'm trying to remember what it was. That seasoning's so good.
Oh, it's tremendous. They also sprinkle a little bit on the chips for the salsa. So great interview with Adam Sparks. If you missed it, just some of the details. And, you know, we were watching from afar, but their whole quarterback situation was just a complete mess. I mean, they could not get anybody out of the transfer portal, hence the reason why they were probably willing to pay Ty Simpson about $6 million to come play football for at least one season. But Jim Knowles is the new defensive coordinator for the Tennessee Volunteers. A lot of people might not remember this, but last year Tennessee was third from the bottom in the SEC in total defense. So they had to go out, spend a lot of money to bring in somebody that could absolutely shore up the defensive side of the ball. And all indications, and Adam kind of mentioned it, the defense is probably going to be the calling card of this Tennessee Volunteer football team this year. It definitely probably is not going to be their quarterback play.
Well, and that's going to keep you in ball games because the Josh Heupel system, I do think that he will have a quarterback that is a little more than serviceable. Now, is he going to be a Sam Levitt ilk? Probably not. But the defensive side of the ball last year, and seeing that up close in person, the secondary especially, they were going to have to get in track meets with teams, and that certainly didn't help things. So, yeah, while you may have a little bit of regression in the offense, Jim Knowles, I don't think anybody really questions what he'll be able to do in short order. I don't.
No.
He's got dudes over there.
Things did not go quite as planned when he was at Penn State this last year, but there's no doubt about it. What he brought to the table at Ohio State. Now, again, he had a few more 5-stars in his cupboard there at Ohio State than he did at Penn State. Speaking of the Big Ten, Molly, the NCAA has just released a Big Ten program is now being told they're going to have to vacate some wins.
Yeah, Big Ten school's in trouble. And no, it's not Nebraska. It's not Michigan.
Well, then that's just ridiculous.
It's Iowa. Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Kirk Ferentz
You're going to go pick
trouble?
on Iowa?
Oh, is this the
Yeah.
Caden Proctor thing coming back to him?
Oh, it sure is, Conrad. The NCAA announced tampering violations against head coach Kirk Ferentz, assistant coach Don Budmeyer, and the Iowa football program. Per the release, Iowa was in heavy contact with a student-athlete who was enrolled at another NCAA school at the time and who had not yet entered the transfer portal. This occurred prior to the 2023 season. Budmeyer also communicated with the parent of the student-athlete prior to his entry. 13 different phone calls and 2 text messages were stated in the release.
That's what I call due diligence. So, and we heard about it when it happened. But was this Alabama staffer turning it in? Was that protocol back then, and the NCAA has been sitting on it and reviewing it and getting all their details, and now?
Well, Proctor was the one that let the cat out of the bag when he did that interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it may have just been from what he said.
But, I mean, they have to verify it, right? They can't Not that he would be lying about something like that. I'm just wondering what is protocol for these tampering allegations because, whoa.
This says the assistant coach Budmeyer then set up a phone call between the student-athlete and Ferentz, who assured him that he would be welcomed to their program. Just days later, the player entered the portal and then quickly committed to Iowa.
So Budmeyer is the wide receivers coach. I'm just trying to think if this is indeed the Caden Proctor situation.
No, that's a decoy. It's, hey, we're going after an offensive lineman. They would never expect the wide receiver coach to do the tampering.
Yeah, I guess so. Now, how many wins are they going to have to vacate?
Well, full list of prescribed penalties include 1 year probation, a fine of $25,000 self-imposed by the school, a 2-week ban on all football recruiting communication during the 2026 calendar year, also self-imposed, a 24-day reduction in recruiting person days, vacation of all records in which the student-athlete competed while ineligible. That's what it says. And then a 1-game suspension for Ferenz and Budmeyer during the 2024 football season, also self-imposed. That's what it says. And yes, it does say the 2024 football season.
Interesting. Poor Iowa. Michigan is just running amok, doing anything they want.
That's the whole thing.
And then you go after Iowa.
And you're going to go and let's go pound on Iowa?
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, next we're gonna get Chuck Martin, or we're gonna get something that says that Graham Nicholson he was tampered with. That's what. How many of these cases or incidences like this does the NCAA have compiled on their desk? Because there has been. I feel certain at 99% of Power 4 schools there has been tampering.
Yeah.
By a staff member at some point in time.
Yep. They're going to stay really busy if this is what they're going to be doing.
But Iowa, of all the programs to get hit first, I was expecting Michigan for something.
That's usually the school
Yeah,
that you
well,
would look towards to.
Yeah, run a skimmer through the cesspool. You're gonna drag up something.
Yeah. A little bit of news also coming from the NCAA, an announcement, a former SEC Whitecap who now works at the NCAA, Steve Shaw, is retiring. The NCAA Secretary of Rules, Editor for Football, and National Coordinator of Officials. He will retire from both positions starting on September the 1st, so he's not even going through another season. Shaw began his position as Secretary Rules Editor for Football in September of 2017, where he succeeded Rogers Redding, who was another SEC official. He was named the National Coordinator of Football Officials in March of 2020. Steve Shaw, a very respected member of the SEC officiating crew for a number of years.
Attorney by trade, I think.
I'm not sure about that.
I think I remember him being an attorney by trade, but maybe not. I think the tipping point for Steve Shaw was probably the short shorts that they're going to let the players wear again.
You think that was it?
Well, remember when he came by, and this was at the Omni several years ago for SEC Media Days, and one of the rule changes, and he came by to explain to the different radio shows of why they were implementing, was the pants. And that they could throw a flag or you being out of uniform, and it was the pants, and now they've said, you know what, we're going to pay these guys millions of dollars. If they want a broken kneecap, it's on them.
So Steve Shaw, longtime member of the SEC officiating crew. Then he was, I believe he was the director of SEC officials before he moved on to this role with the NCAA. So he is stepping down, so there will be no official word who will be replacing him in that position. We are live at Social Taco in Homewood. Come on by and see us. Conrad will join us here on site here in just a few moments. This is Three Man Front on Jocks.
Welcome back in. We're live from Social Taco. Michael doing a wonderful job taking care of everyone. Yeah, 2 thumbs up for Michael. Steve Shaw, there is a Steve Shaw who's an attorney here in the Metro Birmingham area. That would not be the same Steve Shaw who is now retiring as the head of officials for the NCAA in college football. But Steve Shaw looks like he could have been a great attorney.
Well, we have an update with the Iowa Kirk Ferentz situation. Brandon Marcello is reporting that Kirk Ferentz and assistant John Budmeyer made impermissible contact with a quarterback before he entered the transfer portal in November of 2022. The NCAA ruled today that tampering did occur. Records from 2023 will be vacated. Ferentz already served a suspension, talking about quarterback Cade McNamara. So that means the vacated wins will be their game against Utah State, their game against Iowa State, Western Michigan, and Michigan State as well from the 2023 season.
I hate to hear that.
Because those are the games that he played in that season. So it's not Caden Proctor. It's actually Cade McNamara.
All right.
We'll get justice one day.
That's right.
Sorry, Conrad.
That's what you should seek. That you should make that your campaign to end Iowa football for Molly once and for all.
That will now be my life's mission, Molly. You have my word.
Sounds good.
All right, so we were telling you that today is the anniversary of Tiger Woods winning his 5th Masters title back in 2019. So there was a big hullabaloo going on about Rory McIlroy and about him possibly having an unfair advantage. I want to take you back. This was one of his post-round press conferences. This was, I think, after Friday, where his card was just filled with birdies. Just an incredible, unconscionable round of golf there in Augusta, Georgia. This is what Rory McIlroy told the Mass.
I honestly just don't like the 3 tournaments leading up to this event. I'd rather come up here. You know, I did a couple of days where I dropped Poppy to school, flew up here, played, landed back home and had dinner with her, or had dinner with Eric and Poppy. Like I did a couple of day trips like that where I felt like that was a better use of my time than going to Houston or San Antonio. So wasn't really about conserving energy, but I felt, you know, the more time I could spend up here, the better.
All right, so that was the 36-year-old saying in the lead up to the tournament, he took some quick trips up to Augusta, played multiple rounds of golf. I did not realize this, but if you're a professional and, you know, you're invited to play in the Masters, you have access to play at your discretion whenever you want to. So it's not like, okay. See, at first I thought, all right, he's a former champion. Maybe he's going up there for some corporate events. Maybe he's going up there to, you know, maybe, you know, members, you know, you get together and you take a few shots on a certain hole, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Or maybe he gets to go play around a golf or whatever. I really didn't think much of it. Well, Stephen A. Smith yesterday morning on Get Up, he had this to say about Rory and this so-called unfair advantage.
There was a reporter there, somebody that quoted Rory admitting he had a quote-unquote unfair advantage. He says here, this place feels like my home course. I haven't played anywhere else in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So he said, I felt prepared that wherever I hit the golf course, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait a minute now. Well, you over there practicing for 2-3 weeks getting set for the Masters when nobody else got to do that. I don't know how anybody else feels about that.
No.
Didn't break any rules. You understand? Didn't violate anything. I'm not saying that. Please don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is that does give you an advantage. Not only familiarity with the course because you've been playing there for years, but you've been there over the last 3 weeks. That's what he said. And saying that, I mean, you have some people that would believe from a gentleman's perspective that was an unfair advantage.
Go win a Masters, and you get the same privileges.
Well, as I said before, all players invited to the Masters, they can arrange a pre-tournament practice round at Augusta National. Rory did not have exclusive access, unavailable to others. So his argument there does not hold water.
No, and the only time and just going and watching things on that course, and I told you that they shut it down. basically all summer long. It's a winter club. It is a winter course, the way that that's set up with the ryegrass and the bent grass, and doing it in April, or like we had to do it in November a few years ago. That's really the only way for that course to survive during those conditions. So even going out and playing that course, if you were going to play it in October or November, if you got a tournament coming up in April, it's still going to play differently. I think that this was Rory being focused. I applaud the effort, and I would encourage others so we can have highly competitive final rounds. Make it a point to go and play that course, know that course.
Well, and he forfeited the ability to go to the other tournaments and make money, which the other golfers were doing. So it's, okay, well, I didn't care about those other tournaments. I didn't like the tournaments, like he said. Didn't break any rules. Like, good for him.
Let's not try to dumb down the performance we saw from these guys over 4 days.
He had access. He took advantage of it.
Yeah.
I mean, who out there would not do the exact same thing?
No.
If you have access to it, then by all means. If you don't do it, it's on you.
And by the way, you can have all the course knowledge. Your caddy could have been caddying there for 60 years. But you still got to go out and do it, and you have to do it against the best in the world with all of that pressure and Augusta National being what it is.
I could say this, especially the last 2 days of the tournament, it didn't appear that playing all those extra practice rounds helped his driver.
No. He still put it in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't help that guy that was standing there.
I mean, every time that he was pushing everything right. Now, it might have helped his short game because he had to save himself a few times.
You know, I mean,
he only won by one stroke. I mean, he had a great Thursday and Friday, but he won by one stroke.
Yeah, and I know there is a big difference in pedestrian Landrum and Rory McIlroy, but there's a course that I play all the time that I know don't hit it there. Guess what, Pat? Sometimes I hit it there.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
It was just interesting. They were trying very hard yesterday to make this a thing, and thank goodness.
I'm glad it's not.
Enough people spoke up and was like, you know what? It's all players are invited that they can do these pre-tournament practice rounds if you're playing. So
I'm sure the folks at the Masters encourage it. Yeah, please.
Come on.
Yeah, we got these things running like owl snot on a doorknob right now. Mm-hmm. Come try to putt these greens.
So I don't know if you heard about this, but Rory McIlroy, he is an investor in Whoop.
Whoop.
Are you familiar with Whoop?
Whoop.
There it is.
Do you know what it is?
No. Whoop.
There it is.
All right. It is the first scientifically grounded system worn by the best athletes in the world to positively change behavior and unlock your peak performance. To me, basically, it's like
electroshock.
No, it's like your Apple Watch.
Yeah, it's like a heart rate monitor, too. Yeah.
And it monitors your blood pressure and everything that's going on with your system. So McIlroy wears one of the company's wristbands while he plays golf, and he allows the brand to share his data periodically. So here's some of his Masters highlights.
Okay.
He took 24,000-plus steps on Sunday's final round.
Okay.
Wow.
He took 91,000-plus steps during the tournament. But this is the most interesting to me. Rory's heart rate spiked to 135 BPMs during his tee shot on 18. It dropped to 121 BPM during his approach shot. It fell further to 105 BPM during his winning putt. And then it jumped back up to 150 during his celebration.
Wow. Makes sense.
Wow.
So his tee shot on 18 is at 135.
You know what's at stake? You're looking down that aisleway, which that's what it looks like. It looks like just a tiny aisle. You get up, you're more comfortable with your approach shot.
His approach shot, it fell from 135 to 121. Mm-hmm. Then it went down to 105 as he was standing over his winning putt.
Yeah, you're comfortable with the greens.
Yeah.
It's a tap in. And then heart races when everybody cheers and you realize you just did it for a second time.
That is really cool.
Rory McIlroy's resting heart rate for the week was 47 through 49 BPMs.
I don't know. I'm not familiar. Is that good? Bad?
I'm glad you asked that.
Because you would know.
So last night, yeah, unfortunately, I would know. Last night, my resting heart rate as I was sleeping was in the 50s.
Okay.
So for his resting heart rate for the week being 47 through 49, you're talking about somebody.
He's a
that
serial killer.
He is a cold, cool, collecting individual.
Serial killer.
Now,
on the golf course,
Rory says he follows a strict routine during his PGA Tour season to ensure proper rest and recovery. No caffeine after 2 o'clock.
Loser.
His last meal is at least 2 hours before he goes to bed.
Good idea.
Magnesium and theanine for sleep quality. Blue light blocking glasses in the evening.
Hey.
Sauna or Epsom salt bath when available.
Never done one.
And a very cool room temperature for his sleep.
No, I did have Epsom salt for my back one time.
Did you like it?
Couldn't really tell the difference. I was in a lot of pain when I got out.
He follows the same 3-hour routine before every round. Arrives at the course, warm up in the gym, eat breakfast, hit balls on the range, putting green. Rory says he believes his focus on longevity will help him play better 10-plus years at a high level. And he also made a pretty good investment in Whoop. He initially invested back in 2020 when the company was valued at $1.2 billion, while right now their evaluation is $10.1 billion.
Oh.
You said his resting was 46?
Through 49.
Wow. I do know athletes, they have, like, their resting heart rate is lower than, like, an average human. I think it's anywhere from, like, 40 to 60. And then I think on average, most people are, like, 60 to 100 resting, that is.
What is a Navy SEAL's resting heart rate? I think it's
1.
It's not much.
This says anywhere from 30 to 50 beats
For
per
a-
minute
for
for
a
a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty insane what those guys do.
And as we wrap up our final Masters little note or two, we'll give you one more Gnome update.
Oh.
Ryan Carey, founder and president of Golden Age, which is a golf collectibles site, he spoke to Front Office Sports yesterday about the famous Masters gnome. Quoting Front Office Sports, he says, "These were not supposed to be this valuable," end of quote.
Yeah, welcome to America.
So here we go. The 2016 edition of the gnome that we talked about last week.
It was $1,500 last week.
It sold in 2016, the original one. If you went to the pro shop and you picked one up and you left the grounds, it was $39.50. That's how much it costs. Yesterday, that 2016 gnome in mint condition sold for $28,827.60. That is a 72,881% increase over its original purchase price. The winning bid came from a Middle Eastern collector who is a regular customer of Golden Age Collectibles. So 2016, you paid $39.50, and yesterday some lucky individual made $28,827.60 off of that gnome.
And what's so funny is when we first talked about the gnome, I had posted a TikTok on our Jocks page about that gnome, and people have been posting pictures of their 2016 gnomes in the comments. Be like, oh, here's mine in the front yard, and it's got sun damage and like grass all over it.
Well, if you
Like,
got,
look at this dude. He's got 4 of them
That's
just sitting in his front
amazing.
yard.
well,
He
here's
was a Saudi prince.
Middle Eastern collector.
This
That's-
guy's got 2 of them untouched.
I tell you what, if
He
that,
could sell those for a lot of money. Should I
If-
text him?
I mean, that guy should get in touch with Golden Age Collectibles.
Yeah, no telling.
Because they did an auction, and there was one that was in mint condition, $28,827.60
Wow.
was sold at auction.
Where are you storing that thing? You put it in your vault?
Like, look at that.
It's
And it's just chilling in his front yard. I love it though, using it how it was intended
Yeah,
to be used.
not in a box.
I appreciate
But
it.
if I'd got one from the Masters, I don't think I would have put mine outside. I'd have put it in my sports room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$28,827.60.
Wow.
That's a 72,881% increase over what that individual originally paid.
Because I saw some gnomes, some patriotic gnomes this weekend. Almost sent you that.
Cute.
Those are going for $29.99.
Never know.
And he's got a hamburger in one hand and a spatula in the other.
See you, brother.
28,000 plus.
Wow.
I'd like to know who bought it. What if it's one of those guys who is a part of the hedge fund that funds the Live Tour?
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's a very good guess.
Yeah.
Never know.
See, even those guys can't get passes and badges.
So until further notice, that is our final gnome update. A little sad.
It is sad.
Moving along.
Yeah, I miss the gnomes.
My wife's into the whole the Masters gnome craze.
Now I want one.
You got to reach out to one of the individuals on TikTok that sent us
Hey.
those pictures.
Will you send me a gnome? I'll pay you. I've got $28. That's about it.
Can't do the 28 grand.
No.
All right, we're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. There's a few seats that have just opened up. We'd love to see you on the Taco Terrace. This is three-man front on Jocks.
Three-man front, we continue live from Social Taco in Homewood, right next to City Hall. It's a beautiful day. Come and join some of our closest Jocks friends, listeners, And lots more exciting stuff we'll tell you about Social Taco. Braves fall last night to the Marlins by a final count of 10-4, but the Braves back in action tonight, taking on the Fightin' Fish. Your This Day in Braves History brought to you by our friends at Braves Vision. April 14, 2017, the Braves opened One Truist Park and opened it in fine fashion with a 4-game sweep of the San Diego Padres. Braves Vision's your new TV home for the Atlanta Braves, owned and operated directly by the Braves, airing more than 140 Braves games throughout the 6-state TV territory, including Alabama, including Birmingham. DirecTV Channel 645, Xfinity 1254, UVerse 1730, and Spectrum a variety of ways depending on where you are in Birmingham. 330, 413, or 1413, also available on Fubo. But if you cut the cord, like so many of you have, like we have at the Roberts house, you can take the Braves with you wherever you go. No blackouts, no local blackouts. You take them with you wherever you go on whatever device you want to take them all season long. $19.99 a month, $99.99 for the season. That's less than 70 cents a game. Do what I do and so many Braves fans have done. Join Braves Vision with Braves TV. Find out all your ways to watch. Get more info at braves.com/watch.
Coming up next hour, we will talk to our friends of Rickwood. They'll be here on site. Some exciting announcements coming up at Rickwood Field over the next couple of weeks and months. We will talk to those guys about what is on tap. Also, 1 o'clock, Dimitri Ravanos. All straight ahead here on Jocks. This is Three Man Front Live at Social Taco.